of the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Because he has gone and taken Christ our Lord. In the name of the Father, of the Son, of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
For the Muslims and Hindus to take us in the Muslim faith.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Let's recite Surah Al-Fatiha, Surah Al-Nasr. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep them upright. It is our wish that may Allah protect the downtrodden people. May Allah give the leaders the wisdom for prosperity and well-being of our people. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. إياك الضالين آمين. ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة.
Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This is your political birthplace, the cradle of your public service journey, and the crucible in which your leadership was tested, refined, and ultimately forged for national destiny. We equally extend our warm felicitations to our dear Vice President, himself, a veteran of this chamber, who shares the history and memory of this hallowed chamber with you. Nation building is not the work of one man or one institution. It is a collective endeavor that requires passion, sacrifice, and unity of purpose. I join all Nigerians that they should continue to support the patriotic efforts of your administration. Also, I assure Nigerians that the devil we see today, we shall soon see them no more. But continue to say we have a mind and represent them with all our strength. Let us pause here and congratulate our President, President Bola Tinubu. One, for your prompt response to the call to defend democracy in our neighboring state of Benin Republic. You responded to that call, Mr. President, and that country is at peace. Congratulations. You made every Nigerian and every Democrat in the world proud. When freedom is threatened anywhere, freedom is at least everywhere. So, Mr. President, the path of reform is very comfortable, but it is the only path that leads forward. Be encouraged. The National Assembly stands ready to work with you. We are working with you to strengthen the work that they are doing, to refine what must change, and to ensure that every naira appropriated serves the people who earn it. Many of us from agrarian societies know the story of the back-up tree. No single man plants it for himself, and no single generation enjoys its full share. It is planted by those who may never sit beneath it, for it takes decades, sometimes centuries, to reach maturity. Yet it is planted all the same by patrons, because posterity will one day shed and shed the shelter. The planters ensure and endure the labor. Those who come after enjoy the comfort. But the village prospers because everyone agrees to protect it and to water the tree. That is the spirit of the renewed hope agenda. That is the meaning, the demands of parties. It's not about the applause of today, but the share of tomorrow. Not about our labor, but who will benefit. It's only when the leadership and institutions act together as planters, not potatoes, that the tree of national prosperity can truly grow. We welcome the Mr. President. To fellow Nigerians, our national story has never been one of perfection. It has always been a story of perseverance. The people who debate passionately and boldly. Let me say, Mr. President, that the National Assembly is ready for you. We are ready to receive the 2026 budget. We share in all the things we have gone through the last 1 year, and we also share in the joys and applause of the reform agenda of your administration. Only one concern, Mr. President. As we direct the security agencies to withdraw policemen from critical areas, some of the National Assembly members said I should let you know that they may not be able to go to the
Members of the cabinet that are here, Your Excellencies, the governors, past and present, members of this honorable Hallowed chamber. It's good to be back. To a well-familiar terrain. Ladies and gentlemen, and fellow Nigerians, I am here today to fulfill an essential constitutional obligation by presenting the 2026 appropriation bill to this esteemed joint session of the National Assembly for your consideration. Before I go any further, let me be upfront with you. This is a reset, a very hard one. Avoiding abandoned projects, unpaid contractual obligations, and running a multiple budget, both inherited and unfulfilled mandates. It's a problem staring the nation. So we are terminating the habit of running 3 budgets on one inflow. By March 31st, 2026, all capital liabilities from previous years will be fully funded and closed. From April, Nigeria operates on a single budget, backed by a single revenue cycle. No overlaps, no excuses, no rollovers culture. This budget presents a defining moment in our national journey of reform and transformation. Over the last 2.5 years, my government has methodically confronted long-standing structural weaknesses, stabilized our economy, rebuilt confidence, and lay a durable foundation for the construction of a more resilient, inclusive, and dynamic Nigeria. Though the path of reform is seldom smooth, but it is the surest route to lasting stability and shared prosperity. Today, I present a budget that consolidates our gains, strengthens our resilience, and takes this country from out of the dark tunnel of hopelessness, from the survivor to growth. The 2026 budget is themed Budget of Consolidation, Renewed Resilience, and Shared Prosperity. It reflects our determination to lock in macroeconomic stability, deepen competitiveness, and ensure that growth translates into decent jobs, rising incomes, and a better quality of life across every corner of Nigeria and for every Nigerian. Mr. Chairman, the leadership of the National Assembly, while the global outlook continues to improve, this budget aims to further strengthen our Nigerian economy to benefit all our citizens. I am encouraged that our reform efforts are already yielding measurable results. 1, our economy grew by 3.98% in the third quarter of year 2025, up from 3.86% in the third quarter of year 2024, year in, year out. Inflation has moderated for 8 consecutive months, with headline inflation declining to 14.45% in March 2025. We've stabilizing food and energy prices, tighter monetary conditions, improving supply responses. We expect the deflationary trend to persist over the year 2026 or rising, barring major supply shocks. Item 3, oil production has improved, supported by enhanced security, technology development, and sector reforms. 4, non-oil revenues have expanded significantly through better tax administration. Thank you for passing the tax bill. Investor confidence is returning, reflected in capital inflow. Renewed project financing and strong private sector participation. Our external reserve rose to a 7-year high of about $47 billion as of last month. That provides over 10 months of import cover and a more substantial buffer against shocks. Our 2025 budget implementation faced the reality of a transition and competing execution demands. As of the third quarter, 18.6 trillion naira in revenue, representing 61% of our target.
I write to request the kind approval of the National Assembly.
Behind every decision, every vote,
The ayes have it.
and every heated debate lies the heartbeat of democracy.
This matter is very, very important.
I therefore rule you out of order.
Welcome to the place where it all unfolds. Every week, I take you inside the inner workings of the assembly, where laws are shaped, decisions are made, and the future of the nation is decided.
The ayes have it.
Join me, Tijesu Adeoye, and other seasoned experts, analysts, and lawmakers at the National Assembly as they uncover the real stories behind the headlines and offer unfiltered insight on the most pressing issues of the day. This is your front row seat to the heart of power. Watch the Hallowed Chambers every Saturday at 9 p.m. only on TVC News.
I have issued directives to the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, the Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, the Accountant General of the Federation, and the Director General of the Budget Office of the Federation to ensure that the 2026 budget is implemented strictly in line with appropriated details and timelines. We expect improved revenue performance through the new year. The new National Tax Act and the ongoing reform in the oil and gas sector. Reform designed not merely to raise revenue, but to drive transparency, efficiency, fairness, and long-term value in our physical architecture. I have also provided clear and direct guidance regarding government-owned enterprises. Heads of all agencies have been directed to meet their assigned revenue targets. To support this, we will deploy end-to-end digitization of revenue mobilization. Standardized e-collections, interoperable payment rails, automated reconciliation, data-driven risk profiling, and real-time performance dashboard. So leakages are sealed, compliance is verifiable, and remittances are prompt. These targets will form core components of performance, evaluation, and institutional scorecards. Nigeria can no longer afford leakages, inefficiencies, or underperformance in strategic agencies. Every institution must play its part and play it effectively. Mr. Chairman and fellow Nigerians, the 2026 budget is guided by 4 clear objectives. 1, consolidate macroeconomic stability, improve the businesses and business environment, investment environment, and all of that together. Promote job-rich growth and reduce poverty, and strengthen human capital development while protecting the vulnerables. In short, we will spend with purpose, manage debt with discipline, and pursue broad-based sustainable growth. Distinguished leaders or members, the 2026 federal budget is anchored on realism, prudence, and growth. The key aggregates are as follows. Expected total revenue is 34.33 trillion naira. Projected total expenditure is 58.18 trillion naira, including 15.52 trillion naira for debt servicing. Recurrent non-debt expenditure is 15.2 trillion naira. Capital expenditure will be 26.08 trillion. The budget deficit is expected to be 23.85 trillion naira, representing just 4.28% of our GDP. It is therefore my great pleasure that I lay before this distinguished joint session of the National Assembly the 2026 Appropriation Bill of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, titled Budget of Consolidation, Renewed Resilience, and Shared Prosperity. I seek your partnership in charting the nation's fiscal course for the coming year.
With these reforms, the 2026 budget is anchored on sustainable revenues rather than deferred obligations. It finances progress responsibly. A fair and efficient tax system underpins security funding, sustains social services, and guarantees the timely delivery of constituency projects. On behalf of the National Assembly, I offer this assurance. We will consider the 2026 appropriation bill with urgency, diligence, and patriotism. We will support reform that strengthen the national interest, scrutinize spending to ensure accountability, and insist that every naira budgeted by Mr. President delivers value to the Nigerian people.
It's always been one budget, but for certain reasons, today we are confronted with a situation where we have three budgets: 2024, 2023, 2024, and 2025. And that is what President is setting, a new standard to say, look, let's return back to the normal standard of one budget, that will run from January to end in December, 2026. And I think that is the way to go. And that is the way it is done all over the world. Since this government came, things have changed, and this year's budget is particularly important because, it is based on realistic assumptions. If you recall, this year's budget is predicated on projected assumption of 1.84 million barrels per day. That is distinct from our targeted production figure of 2.06 million barrels per day. And so it's a more realistic budget, and this is done based on the global outlook, based on data available from OPEC.
The President has clearly and unequivocal terms stated that the practice of running multiple budgets in a single budget cycle will be consigned to the dustbin of history. That means, as moving forward in the 2026 budget, only one budget will be run through the revenue that is being generated for that year, as opposed to the ugly scenario of running multiple budgets within a single budgetary cycle and within a single revenue stream. This is bringing a lot of physical distortions in terms of implementation of the budget and physical distortions in the economy. So Mr. President deserves a pat on the back for that. And
I could see from the President's speech that the budget is a sort of gender-sensitive budget, which also gives us more hope that women are going to be inclusive. And again, another thing is that I'm happy that the budget now is going to be eventually and operate on a single. We are going to operate on a single budget because now we have the 2024-2025, which you know a lot of controversies.
Capital development is a veritable instrument for socio-economic development everywhere in the world. And for the budget proposal, appropriation bill as presented by him, to capture that as an area of priority or preference, then we should give the president commendation. But my concern or my reservation is when you talk human capital development, the major ingredients are education and health. So, and looking at what have been proposed for those two areas, there is every need we increase them. It is a proposal that he has presented before us. It is for the two chambers to now look at the possibilities of adjusting them.
When you delve into the budget, you see the focus of this administration and Mr. President's agenda. First and foremost, top line, 4 things stood out to me. Number 1 was security. What the line item there is 5.4 trillion naira, and that is an emphasis on the fact that the primary responsibility of government is the protection of the lives and properties of its citizens. We went on to infrastructure. Infrastructure is at 3.5 trillion, and that's to ensure that there's an enabling environment for businesses to thrive in Nigeria. We went on to education at 3.5 trillion, and health and social services at 2.48 trillion. And that is a focus on productivity, because productivity can only increase when you have a healthy and well-educated workforce. We as a parliament, we are going to sacrifice our holidays. We are going to work hard and dedicate the rest of the next couple of weeks to ensuring that we pass this budget expediently for the benefit of the Nigerian people.
President Tinubu says the 2026 budget will be firmly anchored on realism, fiscal prudence, and economic growth. In response, the National Assembly has assured of its continued partnership with the executive for advancing nation building.